Venture producer. Venture producer for the capitalization of startup and early stage management companies and one or more privately held venture hedge funds or publicly traded exchange traded funds, or ETFs. For either the management company or the fund, you can raise an unlimited amount of capital under Regulation D 506 privately to your pre-existing relationships, personal as well as professional. Using the Small Corporate Offering Registration, aka SCORE, at the state level, you can raise up to $1 million in capital during a 12-month period of time through public solicitation using the general media where available. And under the Jobs Act of 2012, if you restrict the sale to accredited investors only, you can raise an unlimited amount of capital through public solicitation using the general media. The seed capital producer is included within venture producer as well, although most will elect to capitalize their management company with preferred equity as opposed to the debt structure of seed capital producer. Within venture producer, the preferred equity deal structure is the default structure for the management company, and the common Class A voting equity deal structure is the default structure for the fund or ETF, as that structure is the industry norm. Let's take a look under the hood. After downloading Venture Producer, open the zip file and drag and drop the Venture Producer folder onto your desktop. Opening the folder, we can see what's included within Venture Producer. As you can see, Venture Producer includes The Secrets of Wall Street, Raising Capital for Startup and Early Stage Companies, Expert Edition, Financial Architect End User Instructions, a comprehensive guide with easy-to-understand screenshot captions, enabling you to produce your securities offering documents in record time. The PPM distribution list and securities record, which help you stay in compliance. Venture Producer includes 4 individualized CAP Pro for venture funds, the Capitalization and Pro Forma Financial Projections Excel workbook that enables you to customize your own deal structure for both the management company and the fund simultaneously. CAP Pro for venture funds is the heart of this Financial Architect program. It's an amazing engine that drives the entire deal structure to GAAP standards, a requirement when issuing securities with pro forma financial projections. There's a CAP Pro for venture funds for those who have existing inventories that they would like to include in the fund, and a CAP Pro for venture funds for those companies that do not have existing inventory. There's a set for both corporations and limited liability companies. Let's take a walk through CAP Pro for venture funds to see what it really can do. Existing inventory, if available, to be placed within the fund, can be easily customized with a few simple functions within Excel. Toggling to the Scenarios tab at the top of this sheet, you'll see the Results dashboard, giving you real-time data on the deal structuring changes you make, and most importantly, it reveals the internal rate of return on the fund shares for investors. The comment boxes instruct you on the meaning behind the data input cells, the practicality of the default figures, and the effects they have on the overall capitalization structure and planned operations. You can make a myriad of changes to the deal structure within the royal blue cells with white numbers only. This is where you stylize your fund's operations. The changes you make on just a few pages cascades into all of the GAAP-compliant pro forma financial projection statements for both the management company and the fund simultaneously. You can easily change the size of the fund. You can spread out the capital raise over the years. You can decide to create turnover of assets by changing the average percentage of portfolio turnover. The management company. Toggling over to the management company tabs, you can make a myriad of changes to the deal structure within the royal blue cells with white numbers only. This is where you stylize your management company's operations. Continue to make data changes in the blue cells with the use of the comment boxes for further guidance. What used to take weeks now only takes hours. What used to take hours now only takes seconds. All the CAP Pro for funds and private placement memorandum text templates are designed as exceptional models for an ideal set of deal structures for the management company as well as the fund. The royal blue uppercase text within the private placement memorandum text templates are direct instructions for you as you move through the document. The royal blue lowercase text serves as an example of a fictitious company with the grammatical structure needed to complete your securities offering documents. The black-lettered lowercase text is legal language that should only be changed by your attorney upon final review of your securities offering documents. There are operating agreements within the LLC module which bind the fund to the management company so that the shareholders of the fund cannot terminate the management company except for cause. This stipulation is, of course, a very strong way for the management company to maintain total control of the fund and its assets. Look at Venture Producer as a mansion we built for you that will be further customizable by you. We built the foundation and overall infrastructure. You need to come in and paint the walls, put up window treatments, install carpeting, and move in the furniture. Then you're ready to sell it. The default structure for both the management company and the fund is set to an industry norm. The management company's default capitalization is for the issuance of $1 million in preferred equity, of which $500,000 is loaned to the fund to afford the legal and other related marketing fees to conduct a public securities exchange listing of the fund's shares. The remaining $500,000 is utilized to hire a vice president of corporate finance, cover management company's overhead, and to further the capitalization of the fund. The fund is to pay back the $500,000 to the management company within the first year, thereby providing back that capital to be used for the further solicitation and sales effort of the fund shares. Now, one doesn't need to take the fund public by listing it on a publicly traded securities exchange to raise capital. However, consider the reality of why there are not many small funds that are publicly traded. The reason is that since you've already qualified for a listing of the securities, there's really no reason for the fund to stay small. Consider also what really happens once you have the capital to afford the listing of the fund shares on a publicly traded securities exchange. You've just created your own currency to purchase titles, rights, or any other type of assets that you were going to purchase with the cash from the proceeds of the sales of the fund shares. The fund shares can be used to purchase these assets prior to the actual listing. It may appear that there's a bit of a catch-22 here, but that's not the case. To qualify for listing on a publicly traded securities exchange, your fund must have a minimum number of shareholders and a minimum asset size, depending on the exchange that you choose. You start the process before you reach the minimum qualifications. The process, once started, enables you to sell into the proposition that the common equity of the fund will be a liquid marketable security within the year. The issue becomes moot once your management company has the capital to afford the listing and has engaged in the process. The exchange listing process normally takes 4 to 6 months. By that time, you can have all the assets purchased to qualify for the listing because you've afforded the legal and marketing fees to get the lawyers and broker-dealers to finalize the issuance of the fund shares. Hence, the listing becomes a fait accompli. Therefore, an exchange listing is the equivalent of creating your own private currency, the fund shares, that are to inevitably become liquid securities on a publicly traded securities exchange. This is the way it's done on Wall Street, and now you can do it on Main Street. This is the fundamental premise of the process, and Venture Producer will get you to the point where you can engage the right professionals to carry on the process through to fruition. Once again, an exchange listing for the fund shares is not necessary for you to raise capital. However, an exchange listing certainly will improve the probability of obtaining a substantial amount of capital for the fund. For those interested in an exchange listing of the fund shares, the details of the exchange listing process are complicated and change over time, but once your management company has raised sufficient capital, you are to hire the experienced legal counsel and engage the right broker-dealer to make this a reality and keep your company in compliance. You may even choose to hire Commonwealth Capital Advisors as your guide through the process of hiring the right legal counsel and broker-dealer. Once you've completed your securities offering documents, you'll be ready to have them reviewed by your legal counsel. By completing these documents yourself, you should save the vast amount of legal fees normally incurred with this process, due to the fact that these documents are inherently complete and need little, if any, further review. Venture Producer also includes access to the private, password-protected, members-only Commonwealth Capital Club. Here you'll find additional resources such as online tutorials, compliance information, and links to accredited investors and other capital sources around the world. Venture Producer is the spark that starts the process and will get you to where you need to be when you need to be there. It's simple and it's guaranteed in 2 ways. If you can find a faster way to legally raise capital, we will refund your money, so there's no real risk for you. If you decide you need Commonwealth Capital Advisors to provide our full-service investment banking advisory services, then we will credit and apply 100% of your purchase of Venture Producer to your initial service retainer. If you desire to build one or more private venture funds or publicly traded ETFs, invest in your future by purchasing Venture Producer today and start raising substantial amounts of capital while maintaining the vast amount of ownership equity and voting control in your management company. Learn how to compete directly with financial institutions for individual investor capital. It's really not that hard once you know how. Financial Architect, the fastest way to legally raise capital, guaranteed.
As if you didn't care. Change taking places. Put yourself